Go out there and fail first. Don't be afraid to say, I don't have the answer, but I can find it. I think resourcefulness is the number one skill that you can have as a human being right now. So it's like, I don't know the answer, but I can find it. And so you don't have to lie. You don't have to be deceitful, especially if you're brand new. You get to say, hey, I'm brand new. I don't have the answer, but I can find it for you.
I want to jump right in. You've done a tremendous amount of, sales and training and customization, all that kind of stuff. How did you find yourself in this industry before it became a niche for you?
Wasn't really something that I set out to do. I was a loan officer, and I always thought I was going to end up owning a bank. I was a mortgage guy, and I always just like my goal, like not my whole life, not when I was like a little kid, but as an adult, I just assumed that I would own a bank. And I ended up getting in some trouble with the law, and I lost my ability to originate mortgages. And so I needed to find something that didn't require a license, wasn't really government regulated, and something I could start on my own. And back then, one of the cheapest things to do was to start an internet business. And so I actually started teaching. I was a good loan officer. I did a lot of business. And so I started teaching other loan officers some of the things that I knew and that had worked for me, some of the startup loan officers and, mid-tier producers in a company that wanted to move up to become top producer. I started helping those guys, and it kind of has evolved in 14 years from just loan officers, because that's all I knew. I'm a big believer, like, don't teach stuff you don't know. And I didn't know anything other than how to wash cars, and clearly those people aren't paying for coaching, and how to do mortgages. And so, I just started teaching what I knew. But over the years, I've evolved and learned from other people and things of that nature, and been able to do something and then teach what I've learned from that and been able to do something else. So I think that's how I got really good at all this stuff, is I just took the chance of doing stuff. Instead of being the guy that has theories or hypothesis about how things would work, I would actually go do it and then come back and be like, well, this is what worked and this is what didn't. And, like I said, 14 years of doing that. Now I feel like I can do that for anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you this, sales is the highest and lowest paid profession on the planet, right? Some would argue that you're either gifted towards it or you're not gifted towards it. I'm curious on which side of the fence that you stand on, because it seems like with enough practice, pretty much you can get good at almost anything.
Well, true, but these, I feel like I could just sell normally. I'm just I understand and communicate. I'm confident. I've been that way my whole life. My kids are that way. So, I'm blessed that that's in my DNA. But some of the best salespeople that I have here are least likely people you think would be sales, because we have this idea of this Hollywood Wall Street sales guy, suit and slick back Gordon Gecko hair and, maybe snakeskin boots and a briefcase or something like that. And really, most places you go in America today, the top producer's wearing a black T-shirt just like me, or dressed in golf clothes, and they're doing a deal out on the golf course or whatever. And really, in today's day and age, the consumer's smarter than they've ever been as well. So you don't have to sell as much these days, like the hard sell and the takeaway clothes and all that stuff that we've had in the past. You don't have to do that as much, because most of the time, by the time a consumer is actually reaching out to you these days, they've already made a decision to buy. You just got to make sure they buy from you. And that just takes two things: empathy and confidence. That's it.
Yeah, no, I love that. My youngest son, got married, I think May or March of last year, and moved up to Charlotte, North Carolina, which isn't, 3 hours from us. And he recently got into a sales role. Now, he went through a professional car dealership kind of scenario to learn how to sell Fords, for example. And it was interesting to me that, in the early onset of coming out of the gate, I think he trained with, 5 or 6 salespeople. Out of the 5 or 6 salespeople, he and one other guy ended up making it past month number 1 or number 2. He wasn't selling that great at first, but meanwhile, his buddy was like racking it up. He was selling like crazy. And I'm curious to know your thoughts on what, at least on the early onset, kind of what do you think's at play there? When I look at my, that particular environment, it seemed to be a little bit of insecurity, not, like who's going to buy from me? Why would they buy from me kind of mentality? I'm curious to know kind of how would you kind of train that?
Well, I think a lot of people, especially when they're new, I don't know that it's who's going to buy from me as much as they're scared to make a mistake. They're
Mhm.
scared to look stupid in front of the customer, or look stupid in front of their new employer, or look stupid in front of their new fellow employees. And, I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have is this. And I'm not the old guy saying, oh, this new generation's weak. This new generation's full of brilliant people.
Mhm.
One of the things that socially conditioned to them is fear of failure. And my generation too, I should just say, like my generation,
Yeah.
uh, maybe 3 generations ago, people weren't so scared of failure, but also 3 generations ago, there weren't cameras watching every move. I mean, if you
Yeah.
go out and you make a mistake and you trip and fall on ice, there might be a camera there recording you. And the next thing you know, you're on freaking YouTube and everybody's laughing at you, or you're on Ridiculousness or Tosh.0 and the whole planet's laughing at you.
Yeah.
People are
Sure.
scared to make mistakes, and sort of right. And what I mean by that is, again, you got the whole world watching you, so you're scared to make a mistake. In the sales world, it's really similar too. It's like, hey, maybe the customer blows me off, but maybe they blow me off. Then they go to Google and they give a 1-star review talking about how stupid I am. Then my manager sees it, he fires me, and then he makes sure that Subaru, Dodge, and Chevy don't call me or don't accept me into a job either because I messed up with this one client. And or I could say the wrong thing and they could take it wrong and think
Mhm.
I'm racist, misogynist. Like, there's so many mistakes and delicacies that we've set in place these days that I think a lot of people are just scared to make mistakes. But here's the cool thing: mistakes are how you learn stuff, unless you're
Yeah.
just stupid, unless you're
Yeah.
just flat out dumb. Mistakes are how you learn stuff. You're not dumb because you make mistakes. You become wiser when you make mistakes. You're dumb if you make the same mistake over and over again, right? But if you're making like
Yeah.
me, I think that's where I know that's where I got this wisdom is I've got prolific mistake making behind me. But
Yeah.
let's just say, in my 20s and halfway through my 30s, I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of my teenage years, a lot of mistakes. But I never made the same mistake twice. I just made so many different mistakes that now I understand not necessarily the box that I got to get in, but the box that I have to play in
Yeah.
order to still make these mistakes. And I'm better at it. But if I hadn't made all those mistakes, I wouldn't
Mhm.
be the guy that people come to and pay a lot of money for advice from.
Yeah.
And so, don't, and besides, especially young folks out there, like, if you make a mistake in your 20s and 30s, that's what everybody's expecting anyway. You're not letting anybody down. You're actually meeting
Right.
expectations. I'm 43, we expect you to screw up, right?
Yeah. That's true.
And we're not judging you. We're going, and when you see somebody rib punch somebody else and laugh at you because you made a mistake, 9 times out of 10, especially if there's somebody successful, they're not laughing necessarily at you. They're laughing at your pain because they were once there too. And they're
Yeah.
probably elbowing their buddy going, remember when that shit was us?
Yeah.
Right. But people don't think of it. They worry so much. So the way that I'll train is like, hey, go out there and fail first. Don't be
Mhm.
afraid to say, I don't have the answer, but I can find it. I think resourcefulness is the number one skill
Yeah.
that you can have as a human being right now. So it's like, I don't know the answer, but I can find it. And so you don't have to lie. You don't have to be deceitful, especially if you're brand new. You get to say, hey, I'm brand new. I don't
Mhm.
have the answer, but I can find it for you.
No, I love that. I was telling him he came home for the holidays, of course, him and his wife, and we spent the Christmas holidays with him and whatnot. And I kept telling him, I was like, dude, just go knock something over. I was like, what is your buddy doing that you're not doing? Well, he's making Instagram videos on cars and YouTube clips on, reels or whatever on cars or snippets, whatever they call them. And I'm like, well, try it. What? Yeah, just
It's
try
working
it.
for him. Shit, yeah.
Yeah, try it. Like, what do you got to lose, right? And the crazy part is he left the holidays and went back, right? First day back on the job. Since then, I think he sold seven, and it's only been a few weeks, right? So, and I asked him, he called me to kind of like quasi celebrate, like he was excited, like I sold a bunch of things, right? And they're good deals. They're not like no nothing margin deals. These are good deals. I'm like, okay, awesome. So what changed? He goes, honestly, my mind. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, just how I looked at it. I said, he goes, I realized I had been trained. I know the product inside and out. I actually care about people, and I just decided to try to super serve somebody, and then lo and behold, they started buying from me. And which got me thinking, it's like, let's assume for a second we got a brand spanking new entrepreneur in front of us right now, and we all know that part of being an entrepreneur is learning to sell. You've got to sell your own goods and services before anybody else will sell them for you. I'm curious to know what kind of advice you would give them in just getting started and getting past that first initial roadblock. Maybe it's the first JV deal or the first door knock or whatever. What are some tactical practicals that you would throw out there?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people imagine that it's a lot harder to get started than it is. I mean, it takes, let's just call it worst case scenario, $1,000 to set up an LLC.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what you're doing and you pay a lawyer that's trying to get over on you, you're going to pay $1,000. You know, it's probably $400 on LegalZoom if you want to fill out a template.
Yeah.
A lot of people think they need a degree or a CPA, or they got to know bookkeeping, or they got to know law. You don't have to know any of that stuff. If you got an idea, you just get to chase that idea. And guess what? You go make a sale. Like here's what I did. I didn't even, let's say I didn't necessarily have the money to start an LLC, right? I just didn't have the wisdom at the time. But now in hindsight, I had the money, not the wisdom. But let's say you don't have $1,000 right now to start an LLC. Come up with a concept, go out and make a sale. Now, I'm not saying a concept like, you know, shit, we're mining gold in the metaverse and you don't even have a program coded. But like, let's say you want to sell roofs, right? You go out, you sell a roof, and then you'll figure out the rest of the stuff on the back end. You're like, okay, then maybe you take it to a roofing company to help you, or maybe you got a partner, or maybe you know the process, or whatever the case may be. But once you get a commission from whatever it is that you sell, then you can go buy those things that you need to protect yourself. You're not going to get sued on the first deal that you do. And congratulations, if you do get sued on that deal and you're broke as hell that you couldn't afford an LLC anyway, you got nothing to fucking lose. So a lawsuit is only good.
Ain't that the truth?
You know, most lawyers are going to look you up, and any good lawyer is going to look you up and go, oh, dude, this guy's got, or this lady, this person has nothing.
Yeah.
Why would you wait? Why would I take your money to do this? So the second thing is, you know, surround yourself with a team of people that have some sort of success or expertise in the area. So, you know, make sure that you do have a bookkeeper and a CPA that you can lean on, right? Not that wants to charge you every time not in the beginning, some fancy firm that every time you pick up the phone, the clock's running and they're wanting to charge you. But somebody you can lean on, somebody who's bootstrapping their business too, that you guys can come up together, you know, lean on 4 or 5 of your people and allow them to lean on your expertise too. And when you get paid, make sure that you feed them too. Don't lean in with the CPA. And then, you know, when it's time to, this person's helped you all year, when it's time to do your taxes, you run down an H&R Block, man. Tap in with the people that take care of you. But, you know, so many people think that it's a lot more to it. But I built back in, let's say 2012, I pre-sold it. I came up with the idea for a digital product on social media. That wasn't a popular thing back then, right? It's crazy as that sounds like, but 10 years ago, social media wasn't what it is today. I came up with an idea, product, made the outline, made the web page for it first, shot the video advertisements for it first, then went and pre-sold the stuff, then went and made the product and then delivered it to the people, right? Say, hey, give me 2 weeks to deliver this thing, blah, blah, blah. Bought myself the time frame to put it together. I literally never even had to buy the programming until I got my first sale in, which covered everything. So it's easier to start than you think. A lot of people, they say, oh, I've got sales, but I can't close them yet because of X, Y, Z. Man, you can tap in with people that'll make that faster with you. Or like I said, then you can go in and make the sale and then deliver it on the back. As long as you set expectations, you know, those people were expecting to buy this program and then get access to it immediately. They were expected to buy this program and get it to you within a couple of weeks. That's exactly what I did. So the other thing is there's really only 4 levels and 8 skills that you need as an entrepreneur. And so level 1 is typically we work for somebody else. So we're a salesperson or an employee or whatever, in order to escape that and level up. Because we say, hey, I want to level up. But for most people, leveling up just means they're not happy at the level they're on. They don't even know what leveling up is or what that means. There's no definition. Therefore, they never level up because they never really know what level they're supposed to get onto, right? So level number 1 is being an employee. And an employee, in order to escape that and level up, you got to learn marketing and sales. You got to be able to get your own leads and close them. And once you can generate your own leads and close them, you become one of the most powerful things in the marketplace, because now you're like a single fine woman. You don't need no man, nobody for nothing. You can just go out and get it on your own and take care of these kids and everything on your own. And I say that because it doesn't matter what it is that you do for a living, if you can sell it and close it, if you can attract a lead from it and you can close it, you can make money from it, and you can use that money to hire the people to do the other stuff from it. So sales and marketing. Number two is you're self-employed. So that's when it's like you and maybe an assistant, or maybe you, an assistant, and one other person. So, but you are chief bottle washer, waiter, cook, chef, the whole 9 yards. And then you got to mop the place down because you're the janitor when it's over with at the end of the day. At that level, you've already got sales and marketing underneath you, hence why you went out and started your own business. And you can always get better at sales and marketing. But really and truthfully, there's not a whole lot new stuff to learn. At some point, you're going to be outsourcing that anyway. I haven't made a sale myself in probably 3 years. Just if I'm just being honest, I have a sales team here that does that stuff for me, right? And so the thing is, you got at that level, you got to learn hiring and training, because you got to be able to duplicate yourself. So you got sales and marketing bringing in the business. Now you've got to be able to have people that can service the business. So that's where you start this hiring and training skills, so you know how to scale a business, because that's the ultimate balance. So people think scale, they think it's some sort of sliding scale. No, it's a balance beam scale. It's a balance between how many clients are coming in and how many employees you have on the back end that can service them and make them feel good and meet the expectations that your sales team set on the front end, right? If it's a 2-week delivery, there's a team of people back there ready to deliver that thing in 2 weeks. If it's an instant delivery, then same scenario. So you've got to get good at hiring and training people. So once you've mastered sales, marketing, hiring, training, go to the third level, which is being CEO of the company, right? I know it says that we're CEO as soon as we file an LLC, but we're not a CEO until we have a board of directors, right? Until we have employees, until we've got a couple of years in business there. And at the CEO level, what you're doing is the skills that you have to master are leadership, because now you're leading all those people you hired and trained. And if you're good at your job, you've hired someone to hire and train people for you.
That's right.
And number two is brand building, because you got to build something bigger. Like my company, our biggest program is not like Ryan Stewman's Inner Circle or Ryan Stewman University. It's Apex. It's a brand. It's yes, I'm the face of it, but no different than the Verizon man is the face of the Verizon. He doesn't run the phones, and he's not the person you expect to show up at your house when you call Verizon, right? He's just the face of it. And so I built something bigger. In the beginning, it was all me. I was that self-employed person. I was chief cook, bottle washer, all that stuff.
For sure.
Now we built a brand. And so I've had to master leadership, not only for my clients, but for the 100 or so employees that we have here and all of that stuff. So once you go through sales and marketing, you're an employee. Self-employed, you need hiring and training. When you're an executive CEO, you need leadership and brand building. The fourth and final level is an investor. That's whether you've sold your company. So you were CEO, you built it, you sold it off to private equity, or you sold a portion of it off, or you're an owner, which means that you have someone else operating it. And long story short, you're not working on your business anymore, although it's paying you. At that level, you're not hiring, marketing, sales, brand building, none of that shit, because you don't have it going on anymore. At that level, you need to learn tax and financial planning. So at that point, you're playing with money. And I'm not saying you don't need to learn any of these skills until you get to that level. I'm just saying those are the skills that you need. 8 skills, 4 levels to really beat the game of business. So now what your job is, since you're sitting here listening to this, those of you in the audience, is to identify what level you're on right now and start working on the skills that I said that you need to master in order to ascend to the next level, to where you want to go. If you're one of those people that's always talking about you want to level up, but you're not really sure where you're going to level 2.
Yeah, no, that's so good, dude. So good. Oh man, there's so much there. Oh man, that was a masterclass. Let's I want to pivot for just a second on products and services. So I think one of the most difficult things that I see entrepreneurs struggle with outside of actually selling it is creating a value stack that is so irresistible that somebody practically has to buy it. What kind of feedback would you give us on setting up a strategical value stack that is easily, I'd say easier to sell, but it's valuable to the customer? How do you discover what's valuable?
There is there's a fine line on those between, oh, this is bullshit, it can't be that good, you can't give me that much. Like, I watch some of the internet marketer guys back in the day. I haven't really watched anything in a long time. Back in the day, they're like, oh, for this $9.97 product, I'm going to give you $50,000 worth of bonuses. And you're like,
BS.
That math don't add up, right? Like, okay,
so I'm not the only one.
Exactly right. And like, there's people that buy, penis enlargement pills and believe in that stuff, which we know is fake. But we would all know. We would know. Like our homies would tell us. Like I took, so we know
Yeah.
that's fake. Nobody's talking about it.
I mean, we
So
saw Viagra have catch fire, so we know what works
yeah.
and what doesn't.
So what I'm saying is we know that that's not working, right? And so what happens is people damn it, I got a little lost on the pill thing comment there. What were we talking about again? Oh, with the products, right?
Yep, value stack.
Say it again.
Yeah, just value stacks.
Oh, so with the value, if it's too much, right? Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So if it's too much, it just becomes unbelievable. So, like for me, I like to say if we're selling $1,000 product, we might give away somewhere between $500 and $1,500 worth of stuff. But I just for me, because I'm a person of integrity and I got to sleep with myself at night. I don't say a product is this is $500 worth of value if I've never sold it. So we don't ever in our business, we don't just make up names of stuff and throw things together and say it's worth something. We actually get products that other customers bought, most of the time, tens of thousands of them that bought. So, like, for example, last month during holiday sale, we've got our Apex program, which is typically $2,500 a year. We ran a special where it was $1,000 for 6 months. And then on top of the $1,000 for 6 months, we gave about $1,500 in digital bonuses. They don't cost us anything to give them away. They're simple password and logins. And really, it ain't even that. They're already going to get a password and login. All it is unlocking, 2 things in the system. And the link does that automatically. It's easy stuff that handles what I'm saying. It doesn't cost me a dime, doesn't take any extra money. And it's a good bonus for them. But it's real money because, like, for example, the show up and close that we gave away, it's a $500 value. I've sold 1,500 copies of that in the last 2 months at $500. So when I'm saying, hey, you can buy this and we'll give you this for a $500 bonus for free, like it's really a $500 bonus. I think a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to put this together. And even though nobody's bought it, I'm going to give it a fancy name and then pretend that it's worth this amount of money, and man, maybe some people fall for that, but the real people aren't looking for bonuses in the value stack anyway. The real people are looking like me. I'm not looking for $50,000 worth of bonus gifts. I'm looking for whether it's a 7 hours or 7 minutes. I'm looking for a solution to a simple problem I have. And the faster and less videos I can watch to get there, the quicker I can get that answer, the quicker I can get to the core of it. Like there's been plenty of times where I have sold products and even bought products where they're 1 or 2 videos when they're $5,000 or $10,000 for that 1 or 2 video, but that's all it takes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that one video is life-changing information that can help you go out and, buy a house at a discount, get it, just anything that you're looking for. I would rather something be short. I'd even pay the $5,000 to shorten it from one video to a Instagram story if they can compress the information in there. Because it's not about how long we sat in class. It's about what information we got that we can take action on.
Yeah. I've been telling my team a value stack is nothing more than is it valuable? Like, is it going to solve that problem? What happens is,
in the sales world, like the customer has a propensity to make a faster buying decision if value exceeds price, right? So if you think, oh, this thing is worth $2,500 and you only got to pay $1,000, when you pair that with scarcity, you say, the price is less than the value, right? So you're getting money cheaper than you can normally get it, basically. And this deal goes away. You add a scarcity element that this deal goes away after Christmas, for example. That's why Black Friday works really well. Here's a discount, but this discount is for a short period of time only, even though we're going to run it for the next 3 weeks and then a month, and it's never going to go away again after that. But they have you believe that sales tactic, right? And so it's the same thing when you throw those 2 elements together. However, it just depends on what you're selling. If you're selling to, the average frustrated individual, then, maybe that does need a lot of bonuses for that. But most people, if you have done a good job as a salesperson, you've articulated the value in your core product anyway. Like I wasn't having to, sell a Ford car back when I sold cars. I didn't have to sell a Ford car and then all of a sudden upsell all this other stuff, right? They came in, they knew what car they wanted. I just had to make sure that we got the right deal and the right price on them.
Yeah, and then a whole nother level takes over. The F&I guys take over for their stuff. But I love that. No, that's great feedback. I'm curious. So I own a few businesses now. I've been considering subletting or subcontracting out a full sales team to work with a lot of our thought leadership products, a lot of our live events and things that we host here on our live event campus. And in doing so, I've been around enough salespeople, and have been one myself, that are really good. In other words, they can sell you on the fact that they can sell. Then you hire them and they can't close, or you get a rock star, thoroughbred, if you will, that can sell and close. How does someone know what company to partner with when they're looking at subcontracting out their sales force?
I hear really good reviews about closers.io, Cole Gordon's company. He's one of our Apex members, and they've got a really big operation. I mean, the top guys in the industry use them, so they're pretty good. Somebody to check into. I don't get paid to endorse them other than the fact that he belongs to our network, but I have heard a lot of really good things about them. There's another guy, Tanner Chidester, which is Elite Sales Pros is the name of his company. They have a really good system there. Tanner's a good friend of mine, great dude. So there's people out there that I know are good at doing that. The thing is, anytime that you're outsourcing stuff, you got to really trust that person, because you're putting your reputation, because you don't know what those people are promising when it comes to your product, right? So you got to make sure that your reputation's on the line. They could be over promising stuff and you not even know till 6 months later. They're like, hey, where's my free car that you offered me if I signed up for this thing? Like, a free fucking car? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
The next thing, you got 200 people want free cars and you're out of business or in a lawsuit or whatever the case, but the remote closers, I believe, is the way that it's the wave of the future anyway. And I have 4 guys here. Matter of fact, Blake just today told me that he crossed the $1 million mark. He's done $1 million in sales for us. He's been here a little less than a year.
Wow.
Drewby, who sits right there, he's done over 10 million in sales for me. Zach, 7.5 million in sales. And Taylor is he's newer. He's done about 600,000 in sales. So I got some experienced dudes here. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that's worked well is Drewby, all 4 of these guys started off as customer service representatives. So they would come in, and instead of sales training, I know this is going to sound crazy as hell, y'all, but instead of sales training, I had these guys come in, and every day they called. We have, at the time when Drewby started, maybe there was 500 members. Now we've got several thousand, so there's plenty, and we have 4 or 5 CSRs in training now. But we have them reach out and call 10 or 15 clients every day, not prospects, but clients. And they've got a series of questions, things like, how's it going? What's your G-code score? What did you stuck with? What's your biggest takeaway? What can we help you with? To where we're really serving the clients and going above and beyond for them. That's awesome. No other network does that like we do. Especially if it's about every 90 days they're getting a call from. It's from a real person too, not somebody in another country that I outsource. It's from somebody here in the office, right? And the other thing is, so that benefits the customer, but at the same time, the CSR is hearing the feedback. They're hearing the customers. They're learning the stuff. So now all of a sudden, when they turn into a salesperson, they get a product going for them, and they go to make a sale, and somebody says something similar to like, well, I'm just not sure if it'll work for me. And they're like, well, Steven in North Carolina works great for him. I talked to him the other day. Here's what he said his results were. So if you follow that process, I don't see why yours would be any different. Now they start putting social proof together, this person in this area, in this industry, and they've got a whole list of names that they can connect people with and everything else. And it makes them a very powerful salesperson, because in today's day and age, I believe that if you were, you were alluding to this too, that if you would lean in to serve the client, you'll end up selling them. And so think about it. These CSRs for 90, 180 days have learned how to serve these clients inside now. So when it comes time to sell them, they know everybody in the network. They know what we provide. They know about going up above and beyond. And that system's, it takes longer. It really does, but it's worked out really good for me. Because like I said, everybody hears big numbers they put up.
Yeah, well, it's playing the long game, right? It's not trying to get out there too quick, without being prepared. I think one of the things that you can do really quickly.
They could ruin my reputation.
Yeah, like overnight. It takes years to build, right? And you can ruin it overnight just by not being able to serve a client. I'm curious. A lot of organizations
credit score and never missed a payment your whole life on anything. Mm-hmm. You fuck around and miss one payment by 30 days, your shit will be $550 overnight, and will take you 6 years to rebuild that shit.
Yeah, it will be jacked up for sure. Oh my gosh. A lot of organizations will go as far as getting, qualifiers or setters in place to tee them up for a salesperson. And in some cases, like I also did the car business back in the day, we would have me as the salesperson. We'd have the sales manager who would, was the closer if I couldn't close. And then you would send them to F&I for them to get their gap coverage and their, insurance and whatever special paint stuff they were doing. Is there a benefit, or what is the benefit to having a setter, someone to set up something for a salesperson to come and knock it down?
That's pretty the norm these days. A lot of the places have appointment setters, and that we have appointment setters too, but we just do it with scheduling links instead of having a middleman in between. We just send somebody a link out and have them schedule. But at the car dealership, I buy a lot of cars. And I've sold a lot over the years, but I've bought a lot of cars. The best places I've worked with, one person sits down, they do the whole deal with you. Like they sell you the car, they finance the car, the whole 9 yards, start to finish. I think people really hate the sales guy, F&I guy. He's like, there's two, now I'm going to get fucked by two people today that I'm going to have to argue and fight with. Like around here, especially the high end, if you're buying an exotic car, obviously, but if you're buying a Porsche or BMW or a Lexus or an Escalade, I'm trying to think of Range Rover, all those I've dealt with one person, and not the sales manager either. Like, but one person penciled the whole deal, did the finance, added all the shit. I don't get Gap because I'm not overpaying for them, but all that kind of stuff. And so, I don't. Let me ask you a question. Maybe you can provide a better answer than I can. Would you rather get your problem solved in 2 phone calls or 1?
At this stage in the game, and I've been this way for a while, I want to get the problem solved as quickly as possible. I don't want to go to the dealership and spend all day at the dealership. Right. I would much rather almost buy it on the phone, come over, stroke a check, sign my papers, and drive away in the vehicle. That's what I would much rather do in this stage in the game.
Yep. Yeah, I bought a tractor 2 weeks ago. I never drove a tractor. And it's a skid steer. I've never operated anything like that, but I called the dealership. They're like, yeah, we got one. Like, wrap it up. Send me the paperwork. Let's go. He's like, really? Like, yeah, we're good. I thought I found what I need. Let's waste no time,
Yeah.
So,
well, look, man, you got this really awesome event coming up. I'm curious, like, as partnering up with all that, like, what does that look like? What can we be excited about?
Well, last year in 2022, we every year since 2017, I've thrown something called the $1 Million Mastermind in Dallas. And it started off as like my clients just getting together, and then outsiders wanted to come. So we kind of opened it up, and 2020 hit. And I was the first person to throw a virtual conference in 2020. Like that just wasn't a thing back then. There was webinars, there wasn't virtual conferences. And I just came up with, hey, we can pre-record the stuff, stream it on YouTube and run a conference. And I gave everybody, I'd sold this place out, 1,000 tickets, gave everybody their money back that bought the show, right? It was not easy. That's never an easy thing to do. I don't care how rich or how poor you are, that's never easy to do. Gave everybody their money back and then put the show on for free.
Yeah.
And we had like 30,000 people on YouTube watching it. It was pretty amazing. And probably because people were at home and bored shitless in COVID, right? So it was really good.
They were done with Netflix for a little while.
It was either watch me or Tiger King. Damn it, pick a struggle, So, so that worked out well. Last year in 2021, the most they would let us have was 1,000 people. Last year we had almost 3,000 people, and last year we had Ed Milet, Eric Thomas, Rick Ross. Logan Paul, Alex Rodriguez, like we had top tier. This year. We're going, I'm not saying harder because I don't want to shit on those guys. Those are all pretty elite people. But it's hard because I was this year we're really fucking doing something. Last year wasn't shit,
so I know Eric and Ed personally, and I know that they do a good job. So I can only imagine.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had Scoggins there. I'm not going to have him call me up and go, oh, you say our shit wasn't shit last year. I don't want to fight with that guy, So this year we will equally be raising the bar or whatever. Yeah. But really, I've always had top-notch speakers even since 2017. Really, what's really going to be the deal that makes our events better than everything else is my team. And the way that we operate, period, there's just nothing like it. We put a show on. It is the funnest experience. you learn during the day, you party during the night, and you're not going to be required to touch your partners or trust fall or any of that Tony Robbins shit. We just come out there and have a good time, and lots of thought leaders, and maybe even people that you haven't heard of, but then you hear them and you're like, wow, I need to support that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's always amazing
anybody
up and comers.
anybody can put. I love Ed Milet. He's a great friend of mine, but that guy probably spoke on 100 stages last year. But there's also other people like Marcus Barnes that a lot of folks don't know about. That dude is brilliant. You know what I mean? And there's guys that typically don't speak on stage, like Adam Weitzman. And you get somebody like him who's a billionaire. They're brilliant. You hear him speak, you're like, why does this guy not talk? It's like he's too busy being a billionaire. But we're pulling.
It's the truth. That is the dang truth, though. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we did Ed Milet's book launch this last year, and we put together a heck of a party. But I always get a lot when I go to events. I don't know about you, but it's like I think we're dying for this pendulum swing back to relationship and hanging out and like getting to know somebody and spending some time with somebody. If I want to go to any event in the world and I'm considering your event, how do I know if I'm right for your event?
Well, our crowd is very different. Our crowd is very fit. Our crowd is committed to, a lot of them have things like FYE tattooed on them, which means fuck your excuses. A lot of us live by the G code. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for a system to plug into, and this isn't a pitch fest, like I don't have shit to sell you. You're going to see our sponsors obviously have commercials that come up on the screen and stuff like that, but nobody's up there pitching a product or a $9.97 thing. That's not how we roll at this event. It's truly like you bought tickets. That's the value we plan on delivering is for the tickets, not necessarily because you come in there I hate it when you buy tickets to something and then you're sitting there for 3 days and all they're doing is constantly pitching you. And look, I'm not against sales. Obviously, I love fucking sales, but I like to buy shit, not be sold. So, I want to treat my audience the same way. The biggest thing is you're going to learn from the speakers, but let's just be real. You can get that shit on YouTube. If you want to listen to probably anybody that's up there, you can probably find a video on YouTube of them similar to what they're going to say. If I'm just being honest with you, but the people that I attract, the people that buy tickets to my events that sit in the audience, it might be, it's very famous people in the audience. And then there's the unknown entrepreneur that's richer than all of them. There'll be the 2 million person influencer sitting in one section. And then there'll be a guy that owns a roofing company that just made a $2 million check that morning that ain't even worried about it. Then there's it is a real audience. Then there's the startup guys, the salespeople, the female entrepreneurs. So, we have a mixed group of people that are really focused, but they're real people. It's not a bunch, because real people don't show up at Pitch Fest.
Yeah. No, right? You're right. No, you're right.
Pitch Fest, they ain't got time for that shit.
No, they don't. No, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about is because I feel like there are a lot of events, some of them very famous events that are more pitch than anything else. And at least for me, when I'm choosing an event, when I'm choosing whether to put one on or whether or not I'm choosing to attend one, and I like events. I attend as many as I can in the course of a year. I'm looking for something that's legitimately going to level me up. And it might level me up in 10 different ways. I might level up in a couple of key relationships. I might level up with content and knowledge that's dripped on me through the course of a day. I might have a spiritual experience, be carrying baggage. I don't know about you, man, but fighting through COVID and all that stuff was hard with multiple businesses having revenue hits and, stuff like that. It wasn't easy, and just coming out the other side of that, just having some other folks that have kind of been through that and kind of walked with it. I was always telling somebody recently, an entrepreneur knows an entrepreneur. Like you can look an entrepreneur in the eye and you don't have to say a word and you already know they are one because they wear something on their countenance that's not easily seen.
We always say you can tell a man that's dug a hole with a shovel. You can see their arms look different than a guy that hasn't really dug that hole.
Ain't that the truth? I think the truth. Well, look, man, I want to ask you one more question before we head out. And
real quick, I'll be shameful if I didn't say that you can get tickets to our event at milliondollarmastermind.com. So, we're talking about the event and everybody's like, well, probably going, well, okay.
Well, how do I get there?
This dude really isn't selling anything.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, look, I guess my final question for the day, I've lost a lot of money without this, and I've made a lot of money with it. And that's the follow-up. How powerful is follow-up in your organization and kind of your business? And I mean, what have you seen? Because it seems like you can practically double or even triple your overall impact, whether it's resource or people, pretty quickly just by following up well.
Yeah, so we're like a cookie, man. We stay with you until you delete us. And that's just how we roll here. And a cookie, internet cookie, for those of you that aren't tech nerds. But
Yeah.
and follow-up's huge. We actually have a program that we created. One of my sales guys actually created a couple years ago called Closer Memes. And that's the process we use here. And I think that product's like $20. It's not expensive, right? But we use memes to follow up with people. We'll, like, you know, and it's hilarious. We'll send texts to people and they won't respond to us, because here's what happens in my business. It's 10 o'clock at night. Your wife just told you to go fuck yourself, and you're depressed, and your business is stressed out. It's doing good, but you're not home enough, or you're home too much and your business isn't doing good enough. So there's always one side or the other pulling against you. And you see somebody sharing my shit, or you know who I am, or you get an email from me and you're like, fine, fuck, maybe this can help me out. Then 2 days later, you get a big check, or your wife gets you laid and everything's fine. And then now all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that problem that I had 2 days ago, because if I talk to that sales guy, I'm bringing that problem back up, and I'm scared of that problem. And for right now, that problem's gone. If the problem comes back up, which we know it's going to, because it's been coming back up every other day for every other week for 5 years.
Especially if you have a spouse. Yeah,
I'm talking about myself. I'm the ideal client here, right? Ryan Stewman from 10 years ago is the ideal client. So that being said, when we're trying to track them down, they're not necessarily avoiding us. They're just avoiding talking about a problem that they don't have right now. They got other problems they're dealing with. That one's not a big, and I like that a lot. Okay. Yeah. And whether they've known who I am for 5 years, 10 years, or 5 minutes, it's like that a lot. And we'll send them a text. Hey, man, just here trying to help you. Let me know. Nothing. Hey, hey, here's a video, blah, blah, nothing. And then we'll send them a text where it's like the guy in the yellow suit, where he's like the black dude in the yellow suit doing his hands like, it's like, hey, man, looking for you to respond like a fresh lead should, or something like that. I'll be like, that's hilarious, man. By the way, I've been meaning to talk to you. I just been like 99.9% of the time. Or we'll send them a meme that's like Jesus looking through there, like that crazy looking Jesus, like Jesus is watching you and I'm following up. Just funny things, you know what I mean, to get their attention, and it breaks that pattern. And you're probably listening to this, you're like, well, I'm in a corporate job, or my people have no sense of humor, or whatever the case may be. We have used it on billionaires and it's worked. We've used it on millionaires, it's worked. We like everybody loves memes. If you don't like memes, you are a sensitive person, and we don't like you. But it's very few people don't like memes. Some people are really terrible at making them, but everybody likes them.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, it's a great reminder too, because it does interrupt not only does it interrupt the pattern, it also interrupts their daily pattern of whatever the hell they're dealing with, just in general, right? And it also comes across as, hey, we're trying to stay connected without trying to like push something on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You know what I'm saying? I really like that idea. I might have to steal that one.
Yeah, if you and again, you can go to closermemes.com, and I think that's $20 or $40. It's not very expensive, and we have all the templates made for you. Yeah. So you can just like literally, even if you don't watch the videos, you know how to follow up shit. You can just go grab all our meme templates and use them. You make one sale, it's gonna make you $40 or whatever, no matter what you sell. So
that's true. Goodness gracious. Well, dude, man, I've enjoyed hanging out with you. You definitely schooled us on sales. I definitely need to check out the live event and keep things cooking. Where can everybody else find more about you?
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and it's Real Ryan Stewman on Facebook. I have blue check on Instagram. It's Hardcore Closer. Again, blue check. If it's not a blue check, I don't send you a DM. I'm not going to ask you for crypto. I don't sell Forex. I don't have a fund. I don't do any of that stuff. So if it's not a DM from me with a blue check, it's not really me. But go over there, follow me, shoot me a DM, send me a message, tell me you found me from this show, and appreciate you having me on here, my man.
Love it, dude. All right, man. Take it easy to you. I hope you liked that video. And if you did, make sure you check out this next video right here.
Nobody has power over what I choose I'm able to do. And when I'm committed, it's going to happen, because it's the character that I've developed that if you say you want to go hang a building off the side of a mountain, crazier things have been done. And so it's the audacity and the courage to believe whatever I can imagine, I can do.